So I'm replacing the radio in my old Jeep with a used one that I got off eBay, and turns out it has an anti-theft code. It's a 4-digit number. The radio cannot function until you've inputted it. Since I haven't been able to find this code from the seller or anywhere else, I've decided to build a robot that's going to try every possible code for me. The other challenge there is after every 5 guesses, it locks out for 30 minutes. You can get around that by pulling the fuse for the radio, and that resets the timer. This is the inside of the fuse box lid. It says M12 is the amplifier / radio. According to the diagram, M12 is right here. That's this guy. Pulling this fuse and leaving it out for a minute resets that clock timer. So I'll wire a relay into this circuit so that the robot can effectively break that circuit. This linear actuator cost about $5. It's meant for locking and unlocking a car's automatic power locks for the doors. Hooking it up to 12 volts like so. I'm using it for this project because it's fast, it retracts itself a little bit, and I haven't taken it apart yet, but it seems to be a DC motor, which I would guess is connected to the linear part via a rack and pinion. You can make it pull instead of push by reversing the polarity. It's super cheap, it runs off 12 volts. It'll be ideal for this. Initially, I'd planned to use a solenoid like this one. Also because they're super cheap, about $5 as well. And they're really compact, it's fast. I can put 6 of them right in a row and quickly press the button. But speccing these out, it turns out it's just really difficult to find one for a low enough price that justifies it compared to an actuator like this when considering the amount of force I actually need to apply on the buttons. This thing is pretty weak. So given that the cost for these is about the same, I'm definitely willing to sacrifice a little bit of compactness for a lot more force. The linear actuators are too bulky to be all in a straight horizontal row with each other, so I've staggered them like this and angled each one. The central axis of the angle is actually at around 5 degrees offset from the horizontal. That's because the buttons on the actual radio are not straight, they're angled downwards, and so that gives me as close to normal as I can with both of the 2 rows of actuators. There's a single piece of aluminum 2020 extrusion for rigidity that they're all mounted to, and each one has these through holes that mounts them all to these brackets, which are then mounted to the 2020 extrusion. And then of course these 2 large pieces actually positively affix it to the radio while it's all moving, to keep it as rigid as possible and to prevent any relative movement between the 2 parts. Alright, just starting to test fit everything together. I've staggered them like this so that the tips are close enough together to align with the buttons so that there's enough room. And I've aligned them as close to the vertical normal to the button surface as I can get without any interference. So it's definitely got enough power to press the buttons. I'm gonna have to adjust the spacing a little bit because I've got too much preload on most of the buttons here. I'm just gonna move it all back. Here's an overview of my electronics setup. I've got my Teensy microcontroller and a DCDC converter soldered into this prototyping board on top. Then I've got my 4 relay modules on the bottom, and everything is just mounted to a 3D printed bracket. All of these green wires are going to go to the 6 individual motor outputs that'll press the buttons. These are what's going to connect the motors, complete the circuit to activate them when the relays are closed by the microcontroller. All of the relays, their common points are wired together, and that's going to be the ground. The purple wires are going to go to the radio fuse. I've got it hooked up to the normally closed side of the relay. The hot side is giving its 12-volt power to the DCDC converter, which steps it down to 5 volts to run all the logic, and the ground side is what will be broken when I need to reset the password timer. But it will get a constant 12 volts even when that fuse side of the circuit is broken by the relay, because this is on the common. These green wires are what will go towards the negative side of the motors, and that is on the normally open side of the relays, so that only when they're energized will it close and allow the motor current to flow towards the ground. So on the logic side of these relay modules, it's getting 5 volts from the output of the DC-DC converter, and then all of the modules are daisy chained together, so they're all sharing a ground and all sharing a logic power source, and then each one gets 2 signal wires for the 2 relays. This jumper here, if you remove it, it allows you to energize the relays with a different power source from what you're using for the logic. I've left it in place and I've used it to daisy chain each one together. So the VCC, the power, is internally connected between these 2 sides of the board, and so is the ground. I have them both plugged in because that's how my daisy chain is hooking them up. Here's how my microcontroller is wired up. So the DC-DC converter gets its input 12-volt power here, which gets stepped down to 5 volts on the other side, and the plus and minus connections for 5 volts go over to the power input on the microcontroller. That red wire on the output is going, it's actually kind of snuck underneath. And then, of course, the 7 signal outputs to trigger the 7 relays. All this hot glue is just for strain relief and a little extra insulation. Everything is soldered together underneath that. Quick run through of the code here. These are just the variables that tell which pins are plugged into what on the actual Arduino. These affect the timing between password guesses, how long each key is held down, etc. Just initializing some variables for the loops. This sets up an array which stores every possible password. It's 4 in one axis because there's 4 digits per password, and then that's just the number, the total number of possible passwords, which is 6 to the 4th. Just initializing some stuff, and then this set of 4 loops, four loops nested together, creates the array of every single possible password by basically just counting in base 6. Then this is all that actually runs in the main loop. It just runs each password with this function runPass. It waits between each one, ups the iteration, and then every 5, that's how it knows when to break the fuse to reset the timer. And then the function runPass, basically it just takes it takes a given variable within this array, which of course is 4 digits. It goes through each digit, checks what it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and then it outputs to whichever pins are connected to that particular motor. And then the pull fuse function is just a similar thing, but it breaks the fuse connection for a set amount of time. So I'm doing a dry run, powering everything off of USB, and the actual motors themselves are not connected to any power. They're not doing anything. I'm just testing the logic, making sure the firing order is correct, so to speak. And you can hear the relays clicking, and you can see the indicator lights come on. That light coming on indicates that it's receiving a signal from the microcontroller. The motor relays 1 through 6 are wired on the normally open side, so when they receive a signal and that light comes on, they close and power the motor. The fuse is wired on the normally closed side, so when you see that light comes on and that relay clicks, it breaks the circuit, opening the fuse. That's for the reset after every 5 4-digit password outputs. So you can see it's basically just counting up in base 6. Switches start with 1111, 1112, 1113, so on and so forth, 1116, and then 1121, 1122, 1123, and so on. I'm just going to play with the timing a little bit to make sure it's holding down the buttons for the right amount of time. It has enough of a delay between button presses, and in reality the fuse reset will actually be broken for about 30 seconds at a time, but this is how it'll work. Alright, so I've got the logic running still off of just USB to the wall, and I have the motors now hooked up to this DC power supply. Let's turn it on and see what happens. There it is. I've increased the speed to be about what it will be in the real run. Let's turn on the motors and see how it does. So I'm testing the logic and the code, running everything off of the car's power now. You can see the radio is plugged in, and it does have to be plugged into the actual car when the correct code is entered, because it's basically communicating with the computer in the car. I'm going to have to adjust the timing a little bit. It does take a second for the radio to reboot once the fuse is cut. These two yellow wires are connected to the two purple ones in the fuse relay, and these just go to where the fuse would normally plug in the vehicle. I just have the ground going to a nice bare metal spot in the door latch there. The power for the motors is not plugged in yet, but you can see it is still running because the logic actually uses power from the fuse for the radio. Here's where those two yellow wires connect into the radio fuse. No, this is not the safest thing ever, but I'm only running this for a short time, and I'll be keeping an eye on it. All right, everything is hooked up except the ground. Motor power is connected to the car battery. I've adjusted the timing a little bit. In theory, to guess every single password will take around 3.5 hours. So I'm gonna connect this ground and let's get started. I've been watching it for a little while, just making sure everything works out okay. I've put tape over any exposed connections. I've kind of reinforced it with this box so it doesn't move around too much. And at this point, I'm just gonna leave it to let it run. Unless the password is 1226, then it'll take another couple hours probably. Looks like that wasn't the case. So, let's see. I'm not normally the type of guy to just twist some wires together, put some tape over it, and call it a day. But given the fact that this only has to last at most a couple of hours, I can live with it. Now, of course, this will be draining the battery over time, so I'm going to plug in a trickle charger while it's doing this so that I don't have to worry about that. Alright, now I've got it plugged into my trickle charger. That doesn't give it too much extra voltage, so that's good. At this point, I'll just wait. Looks like I cracked it. And that actually took less than an hour, so I got lucky, and the password was on the earlier side. Of course, the robot has no way of detecting a correct password, so it just keeps mashing buttons. But there you go. Awesome. And I've unplugged the robot, and it would seem that the radio now has its full functionality, so that's awesome. It worked perfectly.